Hey guys, Mr. Backerberg here. In this video we're going to look at properties of logarithms. So there's three properties we're going to talk about, and these properties will hold true for any base logarithm that we're dealing with. Now the first one is going to be the product rule. And what the product rule says is if we have a logarithm of base b, and if we're evaluating two things that are being multiplied together, so I'm going to call them r times s. And what the product rule says that we can do is with this multiplication, we can actually split this into two separate logarithms. So I can make this the log base b of r and the log base b of s. And what I need to do with those is turn that into an addition problem. Now the next rule is the quotient rule. And again, this will hold true for any base logarithm. So we're looking at log base b. Instead of multiplying these things together, quotient means that we're dividing. So we're going to be taking r divided by s. And what we can do with this, so multiplication we turned into addition. Division we're going to turn into subtraction. So this is going to be log base b of r, the thing on top, minus log base b of s, the thing on bottom. And then the last rule that we're going to look at is the power rule. And the way the power rule works, if we've got log base b of some r value being raised to a power, then what the power rule lets me do is take that exponent and drop it down in front of my logarithm. So this would be c times the log base b of r. Now there's two ways we can use these properties. One of them is to expand out a logarithmic expression or equation, and the other way is to condense down a logarithmic expression. So as we're solving logarithmic equations, it's important to be able to do both of these. And the first example we're going to look at is expanding the logarithm of a product. So we're going to look at log of 8xy to the fourth. Now there's no operation written in here, so that means we're multiplying these things together. So we've got 8 times x times y to the fourth. And what the product property said that we could do is if we have multiplication happening, then we're allowed to split this one logarithm up into separate logarithms. So I can make this log of 8 plus log of x plus log of y to the fourth. Now if we're trying to simplify this down, we might consider rewriting this 8. We know that 8 is 2 cubed, so I can really think about this as log of 2 cubed plus log of x plus log of y to the fourth. And then what I see happening is I see a couple of things that have powers on them. So I can also use that power rule to take those exponents and drop them down in front of those logarithms. So I would take this 3 and put it in front of this log 2. This log of x is going to stay the same because there's no power on that x. And then with this log of y to the fourth, I would take that fourth power and drop it down in front of this logarithm. Now this next example is going to be somewhat similar, but we're going to do a quotient in here, so a little dividing. So we're going to look at the natural log of, on top of my fraction, I'm going to have the square root of x squared plus 5, and on the bottom of my fraction, I'm just going to have x. Now actually the first thing that I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take that square root and rewrite it as a power. So remember, a square root is the same thing as a 1/2 power. So I can really rewrite that as x squared plus 5 to the 1/2 power over x. Now what I'm going to do with this is this division we can split up into a subtraction problem. So we do the natural log of the numerator, which is the x squared plus 5 to the 1/2 power, minus the natural log of the denominator, so that's just x. Now I see this 1/2 power on this x squared plus 5. What I can do with that is using the power property, I can take that power and drop it down in front. So we go 1/2 times the natural log of x squared plus 5 minus the natural log of x. So we've seen a couple examples where we were expanding a logarithm, but I also said that it was going to be important to be able to condense down a logarithmic expression. So we're going to look at 5 natural log of x minus 2 natural log of y. Now the first thing I see is that we've got numbers in front, and earlier on as we were expanding, numbers in front came from powers. So I'm actually going to take this 5 and we're working backwards here, so I'm going to take that 5 and I'm going to put it up as a power on that x. Same thing with the 2. I'm going to take that and put that up as a power on the y. So now you've got the natural log of x to the 5th minus the natural log of y squared. Now subtraction came from a division problem. So I'm going to take these two separate natural logs and we're going to condense that down into one natural log. And with subtraction we need to turn this into a fraction. So I'm going to put the first thing on the numerator of my fraction and I'm going to put the second piece on the denominator of my fraction. So all of this will condense down into just the natural log of x to the fifth over y squared. That's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching.